going to start the new PowerPoint, Collapse of European Imperialism and Middle East Conflict. There's two different PowerPoints, one for European imperialism, one for Middle Eastern conflict. The first day is part one of European imperialism. All right, so we're going to start with Indian independence and partition. India was neutral during the Cold War, so they were able to trade with both sides, able to trade with the Soviet Union, able to trade with the United States. They actually had an unusual arrangement where they actually had weapons, bought weapons from both the United States and the Soviet Union, one of the few countries that did that. So, for example, they would have U.S.-made fighter planes and Soviet-made fighter planes in their air force, and it's one of the few countries that was able to do that. See, India's right there, peninsula, very big country, lots of people. All right. Background: it was a British colony. The number one export was tea. Fought for the British in World War II. Mohandas Gandhi, you see him on the right there, bottom right. He led the Indian self-rule movement for independence. He was one that came with the idea of passive resistance, nonviolent, or civil disobedience. Martin Luther King, United States, he founded his teachings off of Gandhi. All right. India got independence in 1947 after World War II. Jawaharlal, I'm not pronouncing it right, Nehru was India's first prime minister. You see their flag there, the orange, white, and green. Some quotes from Gandhi, famous quotations. All right, be the change you want to see. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Let the world change and then go out and change the world. Remember, Gandhi believed in peace, nonviolence, passive resistance. So, going to question one, describe the background of Indian Muslim-Hindu conflicts. There was a Hindu majority in India, a Muslim minority. They united to fight the common enemy, British, member of the saying, enemy, my enemy is my friend. So as they had one common enemy to focus their attention on, Britain, they did not fight amongst themselves so much. After Britain left, there was a civil war between the Hindus and the Muslims in India. One thing the United Nations did when India became independent, they made a new nation of Pakistan for Muslims to go to Pakistan. Hindus are supposed to go to India and stay in India. So they carved off this part of India and made a new country called Pakistan. Also made a small country called Bengal for Muslims also. And so the idea was for all the Muslims in India to move to Pakistan, all the Hindus in the Pakistan area to move to India. In reality, almost all the Hindus from the Pakistan area did move to India, but not all the Muslims moved to Pakistan. Pakistan is a country that's probably 99% Muslim at the moment, and India still has a very large Muslim minority, but has a Hindu majority. All right, so you see our political cartoon here. Basically, the British are leaving, and as soon as they're leaving, the civil war breaks out between Hindus and Muslims. So as you see the last soldier leaving, says, good luck, you'll need it. All right. Gandhi was assassinated by Hindu fundamentalists. Gandhi was Hindu. He was assassinated by Hindu fundamentalists. They thought he was being too nice to the Muslims. All right. Pakistan and India are still enemies today. What's worrying for the world is both countries have nuclear weapons. Every few years they have what's called a border war, where they shoot weapons across the border each other. Just as last year, I think an Indian plane and a Pakistani plane were shot down around the border. So that's what people are worried about, that you have two countries right next to each other with nuclear weapons who are also enemies. You see, this is a graph of all the different nuclear weapons and rockets they have. You see India test nuclear weapon cartoon here, and you see Gandhi, since he believed in peace, he's crying. And you got death here, playing the paddleboard game with nuclear weapons between India and Pakistan, because again, that's one of the fears of the world, that if a nuclear war happens, it might start in that area. Going in next, what is the current situation in India today? India is a democratic nation, world's largest democracy with 1.1 billion people. All right, they are projected to pass China in people in the next couple decades. They have 1.1 billion people, but they don't have a lot of food or natural resources, a lot of shortages. There's a lot of poor people in India. If you've never seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire from a few years back, it shows you a lot of the, it's a very good movie, but also shows you a lot of the conditions in India with people being poor. They have a strong federal government, smaller state governments, very similar to United States federal government. The Nehru family has been prime minister a lot. All right. They're not aligned. So not aligned means neutral during the Cold War. They did business with both sides, with the United States and with the Soviet Union, and that way they make more money. All right. You see here, India is down here. It's a peninsula. Pakistan, China. That's where it is. Indian Ocean's right here. There was social change in India, still in question too. The caste system still exists in some parts of India. Basically, the caste system says wherever you're born, you see our pyramid there, wherever you're born in, you got to stay in till you die and maybe get reborn later as a different caste. The untouchables are on the bottom, all right? These people are usually very poor. They usually get the worst jobs, all right? Garbage collector, rat killer is a job that some of these people have. If they even have a job, they usually get the worst jobs, the worst pay, all right? And so you see on top is the Brahmin, then the Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, on the bottom is untouchables. Britain outlawed the caste system when we were in India, and it's not official in India anymore, but it's still a big part of the culture. All right? It's very unusual still for one caste to marry someone from a different caste, for example. Status of women. The Constitution of 1950 gave women more rights. Women could divorce, own property. The practice of sati was banned. If you remember, we talked about sati earlier in the year. This is one if when the husband died, the wife would join the husband on the funeral pyre as he's burned, and she'd be burned to death. All right, that was a practice of sati, if you remember. Indira Gandhi, Nehru's daughter, she was prime minister. She was assassinated in 1984 by a Sikh member. And then Rajiv Gandhi, her son, he was prime minister, and he was also killed in 1991. So their family has a lot of tragedy. Gandhi was killed. Indira Gandhi was killed. Rajiv Gandhi was killed. You know, kind of like the Kennedy family in the United States. You see some pictures of India there. Next question, Sikh separatist movement. Some people say Sikh, some people say Sikh. You can pronounce it either way. 13 million followers. If you remember from way back in the first month of school, Sikhism is religion that blends Hindu and Islam. All right. It dominates the Punjab region of India where a lot of tea is produced. They want their own country. Okay. Remember, a Sikh assassinated Indira and Rajiv Gandhi. Just like there's problems between Hindus and Muslims, there's problems between Sikhs and Hindus and Sikhs and Muslims in India. Yeah, every once in a while, every few years, there'll be riots. People are killed. All right. There's some stuff going on now against the Muslim minority from the Hindu leaders in India. All right. Those are the Gandhis, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, both assassinated. A reminder on Sikhs, monotheistic, believe in one God. All right. Same God as Christianity, Muslim, and Judaism. Believe in karma. Remember karma, what goes around comes around. Reincarnation. So if you lead a good life, have good karma, you might be reincarnated as a better person, maybe richer. If you lead a bad life, you might be reincarnated as an animal. They believe in the 5 pillars, and they have a golden temple. There's Sikh temples around. There's one in Warren, right down on Dequinder. All right. Sikhs, you see the men wear turbans. All right. That's because they're not allowed to. Part of the religion is never to cut their hair. And so they wrap their hair up inside their turban. There was a Sikh Prime Minister of India. All right. President of Pakistan is Muslim. Okay. And then Mr. Maloney is going to start with modern Africa for the next day. All right. And I'll pick up on day 3, part 3 of the PowerPoint.